On August 6, 2021, the body of James Kinyanjui, a casual laborer working for the Warunge family, was discovered by his colleagues at the construction site next to their home. James had been struck on the head and fatally stabbed. Alarmed by the discovery, the workers contacted the police. Neighbors and police knocked on the gate of the Warunge house, but there was no answer. They peeked into the compound and saw the body of 55-year-old Nicholas Warunge lying on the ground. The police forced their way into the compound and discovered a horrific scene. In addition to Nicholas, they found the bodies of his wife, Anne Wanjiko Warunge, their 13-year-old son, Christian Njenga Warunge, and their 13-year-old adopted nephew, Maxwell Njenga. Their bodies were inside the main house that was locked from the outside. Neighbors were shocked as they hadn't had anything unusual on the night of the murders. Detectives from the Homicide and Crime Scene Investigations Unit cordoned off the area and immediately began the investigations. The crime scene was so violent that the police first theorized that the attacks had been carried out by multiple people. The house was fenced with barbed wire on the perimeter wall, and there were no signs of forced entry. They also noticed that the alarm system had been disabled. Nothing appeared to be stolen from the home, and the presumed perpetrators had not broken into the compound, which pointed to the theory that the family had been attacked by people they knew. At the time, the police had narrowed the investigations down to either ritual killings, succession wars, or family jealousy as motives for the murders. They uncovered a troubling history within the extended Warunge family. In 2016, Nicholas Warunge and his brother Alan Jire were in Kiambu when Alan was shot by unknown assailants. He survived, but he now walks with a limp due to the injury. In 2017, another brother, Kenneth Mwangi, was hit from behind with a blunt object by unknown assailants and died instantly. Their niece had also been stabbed to death. These details led police to wonder if these events were connected. The police learned that 3 family members had survived the attack because they were away at school. 2 daughters in Form 4 and Form 2 at different boarding schools, and their eldest son, 22-year-old Lawrence Warunge, a second-year student at Mount Kenya University. Fearing they might be in danger, the police quickly secured the 2 sisters and placed them in a safe house. However, they couldn't reach Lawrence as his phone was switched off. Believing he was missing and possibly in danger, the police began searching for him. Lawrence's phone was first traced to Maimahiu in Naivasha, then it was switched off for 2 days. When it was turned back on, it was traced to Naivasha and later Kabete. Lawrence went to his uncle's house in Gongoro, where he seemed to be hiding. Sensing something was wrong, his uncle contacted the police and gave them Lawrence's location. 3 days after the crime, the police arrested him. Police said he looked disturbed and was not consistent with what he was saying. They interrogated him, and Lawrence finally confessed to the murders of his parents, brother, cousin, and the construction worker. But what happened? What could drive a young man to kill his own family? In this video, we'll discuss the life and crimes of Lawrence Warunge, examine his motivations to commit murder, and discuss the legal battle the Warunge family is facing in their pursuit for justice. Lawrence Warunge was born in 1998 into a middle-class family in Karura village, Kiambu County, Kenya. His parents, Nicholas Njoroge Warunge and Anne Wanjiko Warunge, were healthcare professionals. His father, Nicholas, spent some time working as a nurse in the US, but would occasionally visit his family in Kenya. The Warunge family was well respected in their community. They were known to be a hardworking, religious, and close-knit family that prioritized education for their children. Lawrence was the eldest of 4 children. He grew up with 2 sisters and a brother. At some point, his parents adopted their nephew, Maxwell Njenga, and raised him as one of their own. Lawrence excelled academically and enrolled at Mount Kenya University to study IT. On the surface, Lawrence was an ordinary young man. Those who knew him described him as being quiet, polite, and introverted. However, beneath this facade, Lawrence struggled with feelings of isolation and mental distress. He was withdrawn, prone to mood swings, and often complained of feeling misunderstood, particularly by his father, whom he viewed as controlling. His emotional struggles worsened during the COVID-19 pandemic. At the time, he felt that his family dismissed his feelings and created a toxic environment, leaving him feeling increasingly alienated from them. His uncle, Alan Giroux, later told reporters that there were some concerns about Lawrence's mental health. He recalled an incident where Lawrence reported his mother to the police, accusing her of trying to poison him and alleging that she was involved in satanic activities. Despite these troubling signs, Lawrence's quiet and polite demeanor made it hard for anyone to imagine that he would ever be a threat to himself or others. Lawrence confided in his girlfriend, Sarah Modhoni, telling her that his parents treated his siblings more favorably than him and would often ridicule and look down on him. Lawrence was angry at his family, but unbeknownst to them, his rage had reached a boiling point. In his confession, Lawrence told detectives that he had been planning to murder his family for months because he felt that they hated and neglected him, especially during his childhood. He claimed that while his parents were busy with work, househelps and neighbors mistreated him, which damaged his self-esteem. He also accused his father of being a violent alcoholic who would beat him and never appreciated his efforts. Lawrence told detectives that he believed his parents deserved to die because they were, quote, satanic and killers. Initially, he planned to kill his family using carbon monoxide but failed after 3 attempts. He then changed his strategy and decided to use a knife, but for that, he needed help from his girlfriend, Sarah Modhoni. On December 24, 2020, Lawrence and Sarah rented a single room in her neighborhood in Maimahio, which was about 43 kilometers from the Warunge family home. They told the caretaker that their stay was temporary and that they had planned to leave by January 7, 2021. At that time, Lawrence's family thought that he had returned to university. Lawrence had asked Sarah to buy him 2 knives, but he didn't inform her what he wanted to do with them. Lawrence had told detectives that he had planned to wipe out his entire family, including his sisters. However, his plan failed because Sarah delayed in purchasing the murder weapons, and by the time he was ready, his sisters had already gone back to boarding school. On the morning of January 5, 2021, Nicholas and Anne Warunge took their daughters to boarding school. Anne escorted one daughter to Kirinyaga, while Nicholas took the other to Karura village. That night, Lawrence secretly returned to his parents' house. He first accessed an adjacent compound where James Kinyanjui, a casual laborer working for the family, was living. Lawrence ambushed him by hitting him with a metal rod and stabbing him to death. Lawrence then entered the main house and found his mother in the kitchen. He attacked her with a metal rod and stabbed her 17 times. She put up a fight, but eventually succumbed to her injuries. The commotion in the kitchen alerted his 13-year-old cousin, Maxwell Jenga, who he confronted and stabbed in the corridor. Lawrence went to one of the bedrooms and found his 13-year-old brother, Christian Jenga, hiding under the bed and proceeded to stab him to death. His father was upstairs in the master bedroom when he realized what was going on. He was hit by an electric cable as he tried to flee and jumped off the first-floor balcony, trying to get away from his son, but he broke his leg in the fall. Lawrence told police that his father, being injured and unable to move, gave him time to catch up with him and kill him. Lawrence did not appear remorseful when he narrated his horrific crimes, but he said he regretted killing his brother after he kept begging him to spare his life. The autopsies, conducted by the chief pathologist, Dr. Johansen Odwor, confirmed Lawrence Warunge's confession. Dr. Odwor noted that the injuries on all the victims suggested that there was only one attacker, as the wounds were consistent and inflicted with the same type of weapon. He concluded that all the victims died from multiple injuries caused by blunt and penetrating trauma, as well as significant blood loss. He added that Nicholas and his son Christian suffered the most brutal injuries, indicating that the attacker was particularly angry with them. Dr. Odwor noted that Nicholas had 34 stab wounds, which were inflicted with exceptional violence. Anne Wanjiku, Lawrence's mother, had broken arms, suggesting that she was the only one who tried to defend herself. The other victims seemed to have been caught off guard. Police were still puzzled as to how he managed to plan and kill 5 people without resistance. For that, Lawrence had an interesting answer. He told detectives that he had gone online to research the best way to execute the crime. He confessed that he had been reading 2 novels titled 8 Perfect Murders and The Eve of Murder. He also told police that he came across a British thriller TV series called Killing Eve. The show follows Eve, a detective tasked with hunting down a heartless psychopathic assassin known as Villanelle. He said that after watching the show, he settled on using a metal rod and a 9-inch dagger as his murder weapons. Lawrence told police that he went online to search how he can commit his crimes and get away with them without a trace, the same way Villanelle, the psychopathic assassin, does in the show. He searched for the whole script online, and he intended to conceal his tracks by killing his remaining sisters. He allegedly told detectives that he wore a dress, wig, and high heels to disguise himself, which was also an idea he got from the show. After committing the murders, Lawrence told police that he packed his blood-stained clothes, the murder weapon, and several phones belonging to the victims in a bag. He then left the crime scene and took a boda to Wangige shopping center, where he boarded a PSV to Mai Mahiu, where he had rented a room with his girlfriend. He arrived in Mai Mahiu at around 11 p.m. on January 5, 2021, and went to an open field where he burned some of the evidence. Lawrence later led detectives from the homicide unit to Jikaze in Mai Mahiu, where he had disposed of more evidence. The detectives found partially burned clothing and a piece of paper. He also showed them a pit latrine where they recovered more items, including a knife believed to be the murder weapon. They also found house keys, crushed mobile phones, and metal rods. The detective also retrieved a white jacket, dark blue trousers, and a pair of shoes, all packed in a white carrier bag. The evidence was collected for further analysis. Police visited the single room that Lawrence and Sarah had rented. The couple had moved out a day after the murders. Inside, the police found only a pair of mattresses on the floor and no other household items. Detectives noted that the couple never intended to stay beyond the 12-day period they had initially planned, suggesting the house was rented solely for the purpose of planning the crime. Neighbors were shocked to learn of Sarah Modhoni's possible involvement. They described her as a woman of good character. She had lived in the area with her mother, but no one had met Lawrence, despite him staying there for a while. Some speculated that the couple kept a low profile, possibly staying inside during the day and only venturing out at night. After his arrest, Lawrence was held at Muthaiga police station before being transferred to Industrial Area Remand Prison, awaiting his pre-trial hearing. His girlfriend, Sarah Modhoni, was initially named as his accomplice and taken into police custody. However, during investigations, DCI officers discovered that Lawrence had tricked her into helping him with his plan. Lawrence had promised that he would make her life better and ensure that the two lived in peace for the rest of their lives. Lawrence also attempted to convince Sarah to drink alcohol and smoke marijuana, hoping she would pass out while he carried out the murders, but she refused. Lawrence and Sarah appeared in court on January 11, 2021. The prosecution found no incriminating evidence against Sarah other than her purchase of the knife used in the crime. As a result, she was released and turned into a state witness to assist in the investigation. Initially, Lawrence was deemed unfit for trial. However, after undergoing 2 additional psychological assessments, he was declared fit to stand trial. Despite confessing to the crime, Lawrence pleaded not guilty to the 5 counts of murder. Family members and detectives suspect that his decision to change his plea was influenced by interactions with other inmates at the Industrial Area Remand Prison, as well as advice from his defense lawyer about the potential punishment if he stuck to his confession. In a written submission, his relatives asked the court to deny him bail. They revealed that while in remand, Lawrence contacted them using various phone numbers and threatened to kill his surviving sisters and other family members. Unfortunately, the trial of Lawrence Warunge has faced numerous delays. In January 2022, the original judge retired and a second judge took over, scheduling the hearing for May 2022. However, the court was not sitting, so the case was postponed to June 2022. On that date, Lawrence requested another mental assessment, further delaying proceedings until December 2022 when he was declared fit for trial. The hearing was rescheduled for May 2023, but the second judge was transferred and a third judge set a new date for June 2023. On that day, the defense requested an adjournment, pushing the hearing to October 2023. Unfortunately, the third judge was also transferred and the case was delayed again with a new mentioned date set for January 2024. So far, 4 different judges have handled the case, which has yet to officially begin. On January 13, 2021, 38-year-old James Kinyanjui, the family farmhand, was laid to rest at Gathiga Public Cemetery in Kiambu. He left behind his wife and 2 children. The Warunge family was laid to rest together in a single grave at their home in Karura Village, Kiambu County, after a heartbreaking funeral service. Speakers gave glowing tributes to the Warunges and their 2 children.
Words can truly express the sorrow I have. I will really miss you and you will forever be present in our hearts. We love you dearly and pray that your soul rest in peace.
Christian and Maxwell, the bond was too tight, always running errands together. Cruel guys, young souls, we always miss you.
Nicholas Warunge was eulogized as a kind man devoted to his family and community. Anne Wanjiko's colleagues described her as a dedicated professional in her field of psychiatric health. Nurses lit candles and recited their oath of duty in honor of Anne. Kiambu Governor James Nyoro expressed deep sorrow over the tragedy, noting that even senior police officers involved in the case were moved to tears. Family and friends offered their love and support to the surviving daughters. Their grief was too much to bear as close relatives read their tributes on their behalf.
I would personally want one time to sit with Lawrence as his bishop. And maybe Lawrence will make a confession to his bishop and say why he was able to do this.
Lawyers representing the Warunge and Jenga families have written letters to the principal judge of Kiambu Law Courts and the Office of the Ombudsman complaining about the delays in Lawrence Warunge's trial but have received no relief. On January 5, 2024, they petitioned Chief Justice Martha Koome to expedite the case after repeated postponements. Through their lawyer, the family expressed frustrations over the delays, which have caused them immense emotional distress.
From the onset, we placed our trust in the judicial system to bring the perpetrator to justice swiftly. However, the numerous adjustments, procedural complications, and delays in the legal proceedings have eroded our confidence in the system. we are unable as a family to find closure and move forward with our lives.
The family remains committed to seeking justice for their murdered loved ones and urged the courts to prioritize the case, noting the emotional toll the delays have taken. They emphasized that justice delayed is justice denied and appealed for the trial to be expedited so that they can finally find peace. Thank you so much for watching and listening until the end. As always, I would like to know your thoughts on this case, so feel free to comment. I'd also like to thank all 5,570 of you for subscribing and interacting with my channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Faith Njoroge, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!